All right, listen, I didn't want to have to do this, but you leave me no choice. Here comes the smolder.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. I am your host, Josh Scar, and I know exactly what you're thinking. You're looking at the episode description and you're thinking, episode 26, what the hell? And that is because we are redoing an episode that got lost because my computer sucked at the time, and almost a year later, we're doing this again. So please welcome for take 2 of this episode. We're doing reshoots, I think would be the term. We've got Alex and Beppo back. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you for
Hello.
having us for this completely original and brand new, never before completed podcast.
You heard me do the intro. You know that you don't have
What?
to.
No. I heard nothing.
A year ago, I was so young. I had hair. I had less stress. Oh, I can talk. My braces are off. This is fantastic.
Yay.
Beppo, it's been a while. How you been?
Yeah, trying to live life. So it's
Moving
good
into
to
year 3 of 2020, yeah?
Oh my God, tell me about it. So it's good to be back and to record something. I haven't been able to talk anything since She-Hulk.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I
right.
think She-Hulk was the last time you were here. I think that was the first time I really did something different with our thumbnails since I took it over, and I put us
Yeah.
all in like that panoramic shot on She-Hulk. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. And I got to color my avatar green, which is always a welcome addition.
Yeah, I think I did your heart eyes one with that one.
Yeah.
And I made sure you were the one closest to Jen as well.
Yes.
It was very cute.
I love my girl.
For those of you on Apple, you got to switch over to Spotify if you want to see the fun thumbnails that I create for this, which by fun, I mean it's our avatars over a poster or something.
Still fun.
But I enjoy doing it.
Heck yeah.
So Alex, how you doing?
Oh, I'm just doing great. I've had a nice weekend of watching football and having some minor heart attacks at all the scores of people coming back and destroying my playoff brackets.
We're here to talk about the different eras of Disney animation as we are in the 100th year of the Walt Disney Company. And last time we were going to do this, we still hadn't seen Encanto or Strange World, which now we have both of those out. So we get extra content, which is great.
Yes.
But before we get into all that, we're going to hear from our friends Brendan and Matt at Unchefed, which a couple of weeks ago was the 1-year anniversary of them inviting me onto the podcast to talk about Good Burgers. So I'm going to link that in the episode description as well. There's no sports talk in that one, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of me and Matt and Brendan just going, "Ah!"
Oh my God. That was a good one. That was such a good one.
The opening to Good Burger is so amazing because Ed has this hilarious dream about like sentient burgers wanting to be his friends, and then he gets woken up by an alarm clock and he goes, "Whoa, an alarm clock!"
Whoa. You do that too well, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's Ed. Everyone does a good Ed. It's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. It's just something that's like deep in our souls.
Pretty much, yes.
So here are Brendan and Matt from Unchefed. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Brendan from the Unchefed podcast. Each week on Unchefed, we unpack a topic regarding the politics and history of our plates in the hope of becoming better eaters. That's Unchefed, available now on your preferred podcast network.
Whoa, we're back.
Welcome back to Sports, Muscle Cars, Androids, and Carbon Fiber.
I couldn't resist. I had to get in my head.
Oh no, that's totally staying in as the transition in. So wow, we're here to talk about Disney.
Welcome to T-Smack, home of the T-Smack. May I take your order?
That's great.
There you go.
I might soundbite that as our new intro.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Who loves T-Smack? I love
I love
T-Smack.
T-Sag. Is it true?
It's true.
I do, I
I
do.
do.
Ooh.
And there's the outro.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I guess it's time for the meat and potatoes, isn't it?
We're here to talk about the 8 eras of Walt Disney Animation Studios. So that does not include Pixar. That does not include their direct-to-video movies made by Toon Disney. That also does not include a Goofy movie, unfortunately, because that would just be king of the entire list.
Exactly.
Wait, why isn't a Goofy movie considered? Oh, that's right.
Because Disney was going through a weird transitionary period with new CEOs, and they just needed
Yeah.
to fulfill a contract, and they were like, fuck Goofy in this movie. We just need to make a theatrical release for this. Here you go. And then because they had free reign, they made an amazing movie
Yeah.
that no one was prepared to understand at the time, because I think the Rotten Tomatoes critics score from all the reviews back then have it at like a 38%, which
Damn.
again proves that Rotten
Ow.
Tomatoes is not an end all be all.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah, it was just ahead of its time. Also,
Uncultured.
every time a Goofy movie comes up, I have to bring up this fact. So there's, what the heck is that guy's name? Aaron Lohr is the singing voice for Max. Aaron Lohr, you may also know as one half of the Bash Brothers from the Mighty Ducks. You have Fulton, and then I can't remember the other guy's name, but that's Aaron Lohr.
Yep,
Aw.
yep.
So there's your random fact for the day.
Nice.
But again, moving into the 8 eras of Walt Disney Animation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about quickly, just kind of list out the era. So like we're starting with the Golden Age, which runs from 1937 to 1942, and just the movies within it. We're going to talk about which one is our favorite, maybe talk a little bit about why, and then we're going to move on. We're not going to go too in depth and be like, oh, well, the Walt Disney Corporation went broke and they recycled animation cells, because everyone knows this stuff now, but we're going to make 10, 15-minute videos about it.
I'm sensing some Watch Mojo hate vibes going on right now.
Watch Mojo, Screen Rant, all of it's the same.
Yeah.
Ugh, don't remind me.
So yeah, the golden age of Walt Disney, which is something that a lot of people would probably have some kind of fond memories for. We've got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Then we have Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi to round out the golden age. So Alex, let's start with you. Which one is your favorite from the golden age?
Let me see. What did I think a year ago?
What are you talking about? We are a year ago.
Oh, right. I'm going to go with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because while it's so hard because Pinocchio makes me cry but scars me. Fantasia just has a special place in my heart. Dumbo makes me cry and scars me. Bambi makes me cry and scars me. But I'm going to go
Aw.
with Snow White because I believe that it is a beautiful, strong entry. Like their first go at a live action movie, even though I think it's only like 7 to 8 minutes or something really super short like that.
Animation movie.
Yeah, animation movie. Thank you. And it sets the foundation for the majority of the tropes that they still rely upon in their animation these days. You know, you have the young heroine who is kind of capable but needs a little bit of help, which, you know, not necessarily good or bad. I'm not going to get into that. You have, you know, the whole Heart of Gold, their motley collection of people that will assist them along the way, the good heartedness of them. And the one that I think is lingered the most, which is the bad guy must die, but not necessarily by their hand, by some kind of happenstance where they fall and are crushed or strangled or something happens slightly off screen, but just enough to horrify you as a child.
They're killed by their own hubris.
Exactly.
Good way to put it, yes.
And it's a beautiful looking movie, but it hasn't hit quite the color palette that they will hit in the 50s, which is just gorgeous. But it does hold up in that it looks lovely. It's easy to watch. It's charming. And if they had come out with perhaps like Pinocchio or Dumbo or something first, we probably wouldn't have the Disney Corporation as we know it today.
Oh, easily, yeah. There's a reason it's an infamous movie. I'm sorry, not infamous. It is a famous movie. It's what really made animated movies matter in the industry. They weren't just little short cartoons you'd watch before an actual movie. It was something that said, "Hey, look, this can actually be an art form."
It still blows my mind that Snow White was the first feature-length animated film, and its competition was Warner Brothers trying to make a John Carter of Mars movie that was animated. Like it blows my mind that it took almost 100 years to make a John Carter movie,
Yeah.
God.
and that they were trying to make an animated version of it way back in the 1930s. That's crazy. So Beppo, I'm sorry. Did you say Snow White as well, or were you still?
Hmm. For me, I think I have the most fond memories of watching Bambi as a kid. Snow White is iconic. Snow White made the Disney, that's what started anime animated movies actually matter. My personal favorite, I think, would be Bambi. It's just cute. A lot of the artwork it's beautiful, especially
Hmm.
some of the nature scenes. It's just fun and lighthearted, and then it has a very adult and dark segments to it. Obviously, shout outs to Pinocchio though. That was my mom's favorite movie, along with The Jungle Book. So
Aw.
watched that one a lot as a kid too.
I think I would have to agree with Bambi on this list. Snow White is iconic and hi ho slaps, as the kids say. Whistle while you work. Like there's so many iconic Disney songs from that movie that just are still lasting through time. But what really sticks with me is my mom really latched onto Thumper, and
Mm-hmm.
especially his mom. If you don't got nothing nice to say, you shouldn't say nothing at all. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aww.
so that's stuck with me forever. And my mom still drops that line at me every now and then.
That's adorable.
That's cute as hell.
Solid picks. Was Fantasia really that early on?
Oh yeah. The original intention of Fantasia was that it was supposed to be a perpetually touring movie, that every year to year and a half or so, they were going to actually remove segments and put new ones in.
Ah,
But it never hit as hard as their other movies, so it was considered a bit of a loss leader, which is why when they did Fantasia 2000, it was, I think, Rory E. Disney, one of the nephews, cousins, whichever one that one is of the family. But when they did Fantasia 2000, that was supposed to re-spark that continuation. That was what it was supposed to do.
gotcha. That's super cool. I did not realize it was that early.
Well, Fantasia 2000, fun fact, is Disney's first ever, or no, sorry. Yeah, no, no, second ever animated sequel. Rescuers Down Under is their first ever animated sequel from Walt Disney Studios.
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
We'll be getting to that one later
Yeah.
in the list.
So let's keep moving along. We've got the wartime era, which led back to more like vignettes and anthology style movies because they needed to make more time for these things. They didn't have the funds to make feature length movies with a singular storyline. So the wartime era for Walt Disney was 1943 to 1949. This includes Saludos Amigos, The Three Caballeros, Make Mine Music, Fun and Fancy Free, Melody Time, The Adventures of Ichabod, and Mr. Toad. So we started with Alex. Beppo, let's start with you this time for the wartime era.
So not much has changed since the first time we recorded this, which is right now because we're in the past. I barely saw anything through the wartime. The most I saw were the cartoon shorts, and I know I remember very distinctly that I brought this up the first time, and I'm gonna bring it up again. Donald fucking Ducks saying Heil Hitler will forever be the most absurd and hilarious thing to me. I will never not laugh at that.
Why
So
isn't
I
that on
actually
Disney Plus?
oh god. Oh boy. That's the one I remember the most, are the cartoons. It was the same for Looney Tunes, because Looney Tunes had wartime cartoons as well. And those are just the ones that I recall fondly. However, of the movies, The only one I watched as a kid that I can remember would have been Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So shout out to the wartime cartoons, the shorts, but I would just have to go with Ichabod and Mr. Toad because it's the only one I truly watched as a kid that I remember anyway.
Alex, how about you?
I'm gonna have to go with the Three Caballeros because, much like Beppo, I haven't seen a lot of these, but I remember seeing the Three Caballeros, not the whole show, but like the shorts in the heyday of the Disney Channel in the early '90s.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you know what? You're right, because that's the one where there's like the green parrot and
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember. I have to look up what they look like. But no, okay, I do remember those shorts. So I
Yeah.
did see those, but
In the 90s, I think it's Panchito is taken over. The role of Panchito is taken over by Carlos Alazraqui, which Beppo, I know you know, is the voice of Rocco, among other many
yes.
other characters like Mr.
Ah.
Crocker.
He was also the first version of Spyro the Dragon until
Oh.
Oh, that's right.
Tom Kenny took the role for 2 and 3 and subsequent and a couple of the PlayStation ones, I think.
That's why you can't trust a
PlayStation 2.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob taking my gerb. SpongeBob took my gerb. Sorry, fun fact of the day.
Yeah.
Let the Spyro nerd out about Spyro.
And so it was not until we started talking about this episode that I found out that yeah, these those shorts are actually from a like a travelogue movie that they basically put together to promote Latin America.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of Hispanic actors and actresses that and singers all meant to promote travel along Mexico and Latin America.
That's really cool. Interesting.
Yeah, the Three Caballeros have they they have a lasting legacy in Disney somehow, even as a more or less a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Josh? What is yours from the wartime era?
So I have to go with Fun and Fancy Free. I don't remember any other vignettes in that movie except for Mickey and the Beanstalk. But like that one has
Yeah.
stuck with me for forever. And
Yeah.
Willie the Giant, God bless his soul, he is the sweetest villain ever.
Aw.
Are
Hmm.
you sure you don't want a pink bunny rabbit?
Oh my god, see, you're
Yeah.
just making me think of Looney Tunes. And I will name him George, and I
You
will
will
hug
be.
him and pet him
I
and
will
squeeze
love him
him.
and squeeze him, and I will name him George.
I love that. Sorry, side tangent, but like in my YouTube favorites, one of them is that episode. And still, as an adult, as a child, but as an adult, Daffy Duck going, "You're hurting me," is still one of the most hilarious freaking things in the world to me. And I just sit there and I go, Daffy, same. I say that to my body every day I wake up. You're
Aw.
hurting me. So, hell yeah.
Yeah, Fun and Fancy Free. It's got to go for that one for me, just because of Mickey and the Beanstalk. But I will give a shout out to the Three Caballeros and the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I really hate Mr. Toad, but
But
adaptation of Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow, whatever it's called, the actual book.
mhm.
It's a great interpretation of the book.
Yeah, definitely hands
I
down.
remember watching that like every year in grade school. Like that was like the one thing any teacher in my grade school could agree on is we have to have 50 copies of The Adventures of Ichabod Crane and Mr. Toad so we can show The Adventures of Ichabod on
Aw.
Halloween.
Yep. Hell yeah. Let's fucking go. Yeah. We're on a roll.
And rolling right into the Silver Age from 1950 to 1967, we have Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, The Sword and the Stone, and The Jungle Book. So we'll cycle back to Alex. Alex, what is your favorite Silver Age movie from the Walt Disney Animation Studio?
Sleeping Beauty. I just
Hell yeah.
yeah, this one it's because it's gorgeous to look at. Every piece of this film is like it was just hand painted, meant to be used and hung on the wall as a piece of art. It is gorgeous to look at. It is the voice of Princess Aurora is lovely, and we have such a deliciously wonderful villain in Maleficent. She is motivated.
Mm-hmm.
She is angry. She just wants the chick to die. She has every good reason to kill her because her parents are assholes. And it's just so good. And yeah, sure, Prince Philip shows up and battles her, and there's thorns, but the battle of the castle with the thorns and him battling to it, and she turns into a dragon and is this phenomenal beast, and he forces her. It's it's perfect, and you
Yeah.
really can't get rid of it.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna cut off Beppo's interjection here. She can go last for this one, just because I agree with you. So I'm not gonna like come back to it. Watch Mojo Fact. It almost bankrupted the Walt Disney Company. Blah blah blah. But Sleeping Beauty
Oh
is
no.
just it's gorgeous. And if you look up like how they animated the movie, they didn't quite rotoscope it, but they did have a model on set and doing certain motions. So the way the dress flows and the way Aurora moves is taken from live capture, but it's artists in the room watching this person kind of doing choreography instead of it being rotoscoped, which is just animating over a real person doing the movements. But I agree with everything Alex just said. Like the only thing that I think is any kind of flaw to this movie is when they made the Angelina Jolie movies, which just like shit all over the lore of this movie because like making King Stephen just like this complete twat of a human being and making Maleficent an anti-hero with a tragic backstory, like it's just shit. Like if you love it, and I was gonna say, if you like the movie, good for you. I do think visually it is really good to look at, but from a storytelling standpoint, it sucks.
I love a sympathetic villain, but some villains are fantastic and lovable because they're despicable. Uh, like, yeah, that's a whole other side tangent for a whole other day, but I agree with you there.
So, Beppo, what's your favorite Silver Age Disney animation feature?
So, this one is tough for me because Alice in Wonderland shaped my entire childhood. I was obsessed with that movie. I loved it. My first cat's name was Alice. Not Dinah, but Alice, which would make way too much sense. But
Are you too young to remember the '90s live action Alice syndicated
oh
series on
god,
Disney?
with the horrifying like monsters with like wheels for arms and stuff.
No, 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 no. That was Return to Oz, I think.
That was a
No,
horrifying
they
movie.
Disney Antonio from the Cult Worthy actually put that up for favorite Lego sequels, which I forgot to bring that up when we were talking with the guys from I Have Some Notes. But no, there was a live action Alice in Wonderland like syndicated TV series that they made, and like that was horrifying in and of itself, just because it's like people in bad costumes with face paint, and
Right?
they tried to like update it a little bit too. Like the Queen of Hearts is a sassy woman who just she oh child we best friends, and like just
You're
no.
like, what is happening?
Josh, you've unlocked a core memory. This is horrifying. I'm looking at this on IMDb because it, auto plays like a trailer from it. And yeah, I remember this.
The opening theme is Alice like rollerblading through her mirror or her
Oh
looking
my
glass to go
god.
into it's very 90s.
Oh, this sounds amazing.
If it ever goes up on Disney Plus, like it's going to be one of the most watched things because people are
Yeah.
going to have, as Alex just had, core memories
Yeah,
unlocked.
yeah.
So, so I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, you're fine.
Alice in Wonderland, please.
So, Alice in Wonderland shaped a lot of my childhood. It shaped a lot of who I am. It's still so fantastic and bizarre. However, I think for the sake of just looking at overall close to perfection, Sleeping Beauty has a lot of kind of dull moments in it as far as kind of more iconic things and in other properties, but Aurora is one of my favorite princesses. She's beautiful. The dancing sequence, Once Upon a Dream, and then of course just the gorgeous animation, the painted backgrounds and everything, gorgeous. Is definitely my favorite movie from that era. Very, very, very close second with Alice in Wonderland, though. And then shout out to Jungle Book. That's my mom's other favorite movie, and I literally have a black cat named Bagheera. So
Nice. I will shout out Lady and the Tramp, just because that is my oldest child's favorite.
aw.
By the way, we will be recording a special episode because Adventures in Wonderland, all 99 episodes, are on Disney Plus.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's listed as only one season, despite it having 4 seasons, but you just keep scrolling, and all 99 episodes are here.
Nice.
They did that with
Nice.
Spectacular Spider-Man too, because I think that was split into like 2 13-episode seasons, but they're like, hey, it's one season of 26 episodes. All right, let's move into the Bronze Age, where Sleeping Beauty has now defunded Disney because they're going broke because they spent too much money on this. We have the Aristocats, Robin Hood, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, The Rescuers, The Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron. Now we're in the 80s with The Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective, and we get really 80s with some Billy Joel and Oliver and Company. Beppo, what is your favorite from the Bronze Age?
This one's tough. But
We all know it's Oliver and Company because you love some Billy Joel.
why should I worry?
It's amazing. Sunglasses just like dropped on her face as she started singing that. I don't know where they came from.
I don't know where she got the piano
Yeah.
from either.
The bow tie of sausages is a great touch. I don't know where they came from.
Oh, I always keep a bow tie of sausages in my pocket. I can't live without. This one is tough. Kind of not at the same time. Hands down, Great Mouse Detective. Period.
Aw, I like that.
However, the reason I say it's tough is because I loved the original Rescuers as well. And actually, it wasn't until I was like a teenager in high school that I realized that the lady yanking off her eyelashes weren't actually her eyelashes, they were false eyelashes, because I didn't know those existed. And that terrified me as a kid when the lady's just like ripping her eyelashes out of her eye. I'm like, ah! But easily Great Mouse Detective. That was always one of my favorites growing up. I was always really close to my dad growing up. I was a daddy's girl. So it like the story would the whole point with like his daughter being kidnapped. So I'm a kid and that hit me so hard. Is his name Basil? But just everything about it is so great. Fucking Vincent Price's Ratican is just like, oh, you can't. He hams it up beyond 10. He cranks it up to like 11 out of 5, and I love it.
Ratigan brings back the villain song too.
Yeah.
If not maybe even like launches the villain song.
Yeah, because we really didn't get a lot of like Disney musical stuff until the 90s, like the Renaissance. So to me,
I guess you would have Mad Madam Mim from Sword in the Stone.
Yeah. So to me, that's that is one of the first villain songs. Like that shit's iconic. Hell yeah. But yeah, no.
Oh, and I Want to Be Like You. Technically, Louis is a villain, although he's only in the movie for 5 seconds. But
right.
I Want to Be Like You would also be a villain song. So you basically, he's like a top 3 villain song. But then again, because I don't think I would count Cruella de Vil as a villain song because it's being sung by one of our protagonists.
It's diegetic, where, well, I guess all of them are diegetic, but I guess in the way I mean where like the rest of them are clearly like, it's like a musical when you go to see one on Broadway. It's like there's a suspension of disbelief. These people aren't actually breaking out into song and dancing around. But Cruella de Vil is one of those. No, he's actually at the piano singing it. Like, it's not just a fantasy moment where everybody breaks out into dance. So
Yeah, and it's more like you're saying, it's more descriptive than anything. It's not like it's setting up an expectation for the character. It's not just like, oh, she's so bad. Look at how bad she is.
right. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's my pick, hands down. Easy peasy lemon squeezy for Measy. Alex, you're like, it's been too long. You're like, I forgot about Beppo's nonsense.
No, I'm remembering how happy I am.
Yay!
Beppo puts a smile on everyone's face.
Aw, shut
Yeah.
up. How about you, Josh?
So from the Bronze Age, I gotta go Robin Hood.
Nice.
I think I gotta go Robin Hood just because that is a quintessential interpretation of Robin Hood. Plus, that's the movie that, regardless of your gender, your orientation, that movie confused you. That awoke something in
Oh
you,
my
and you were
god.
like, "Our fox is attractive."
No! Josh, don't!
Excuse me. Yes, they are. Because years later, we got a song called "What Does the Fox
Oh
Say?"
my god.
It was just a celebration of this film. I can tell you right now.
Oh my god, you guys. Dorks.
So I will honorable mention the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Pooh is my favorite Disney character
Yeah.
of all time. And then I'll also honorable mention Aristocats because that's another one of my kids' favorites. Marie is their favorite character.
Aw.
Yeah.
I have a great shot of them seeing Marie at Disney World last year,
Aw.
and their face just lit up. It was
You mean
great.
this year?
Yeah, earlier this year.
Yes.
We're in the past.
We're in the past, yes.
We're in late
Good.
February, no, early March 2022 because I was at Disney in late February 2022.
Good save there, man.
Very smooth.
You're welcome. I'm keeping him on track. We got this, Beppo. We got this. Josh, I have to go with the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh because I love Winnie the Pooh.
And Eeyore says, "Thanks for noticing me."
Yeah, I mean, like, because like when I was in middle school, for some reason they made us take that Myers-Briggs test, or whatever, Briggs-Meyer test, whatever it's called, and they're like, these people would be you, and I took it, and turned out I'm Eeyore, which makes so much
Aw.
sense.
That explains why you
And I
wanted me to
love-
find that hat for you while I was at Disney earlier.
I know,
a
like,
few weeks ago.
I have so many Eeyore plushies, and my favorite one is the one where the tail detaches.
Aw.
And it like goes back on and detaches. And I have like big ones and small ones. And one of my things, so our cat Nima, she got we had her spayed, but it turns out that something happened a little weird, and she actually ended up getting a hernia, so we had to get that fixed a little while later. We were keeping her isolated from the rest of the cats, trying to let her recover, try not to let her move too much because, this is the second surgery she's had related to her abdomen. And one day she was just we had her
Please
on
don't
the
tell me her
bed.
tail is gonna fall off.
No, she's a Manx, so she has no tail.
Aw.
Okay.
Oh no! I kind of might see where this is going.
No, she was leaning. She couldn't because she normally lays on her side or her back, or her tummy, but she couldn't. So we came in and she just slumped against my Eeyore plushie,
Aw.
and she has the same dour expression on her face that he has.
Aw.
And it was so
Yeah.
adorable. I'm like, oh my
Aw.
god, I'm so in love right now. You're so unhappy.
That's adorable. And sad,
Yeah,
but adorably sad.
yeah. But like Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree singing the Little Black Rain Cloud
Yeah.
and the blustery day, it's just so sweet
Yeah.
and perfect. And just, I mean, the Black Cauldron should probably be what I pick, or the Fox and the Hound for scarring me forever for realizing that sometimes it's, if you're from opposite sides of the track, you should apparently hunt down your friend, but at the last moment not let your owner kill them, and then not really be friends but introduce your kids to each other awkwardly at the end. But it's got to be the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Aw. No, that's good.
The
And
one
I will give credit to I still all the time sing Heffalumps and Woozles in my head.
And I sing Little Black Rain Cloud to myself and my spouse
Aw.
sometimes.
well, the Heffalumps and Woozles, they're very confusals.
They're very confusals. Heckin' yes.
Yeah, the one thing I will say that is a a knock against the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh for me is that either in re-releases or it was released later, it does not have Pooh sticks on it.
What?
I'm sorry?
Pooh sticks is
It should.
as far as I know, I've watched at least the Disney Plus version, and I've watched the version I have on Blu-ray. Pooh sticks is not in that series of vignettes or the anthology or whatever it's called with this one.
I'm sorry.
Um,
When you say poo sticks, I'm a little confused. Can you clarify?
so in
Yeah, it's the game they play.
yeah, they drop sticks on one side of a bridge and then they run over to see whose stick comes out the other side of the bridge first.
Yeah.
And in that episode, it's an amazing episode. It's an Eeyore focused episode, or yeah,
Hmm.
we'll say it's an episode where Pooh and Piglet are playing, and all of a sudden they see like Eeyore's tail come out, and then all of a sudden they see Eeyore and they're like, "Hey Eeyore, what you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I got bounced." And they're like, "Oh, why'd you get bounced?" He's like, "Tigger bounced me." So they run to Tigger, they ask him what's up, and he's just like, I don't know, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And then they find out that it's also Eeyore's birthday. So Piglet like goes and gets him a balloon, but the balloon gets popped, and Pooh gives him an empty honey pot because of course Pooh ate the honey. And Eeyore is like so ecstatic to receive these things because he's
Aw.
like, oh, hey, I can put my deflated balloon in the honey pot and I can take it out. It's a great thing that I can do. Look at this. It's like it makes him so happy. It's great, but like as far as I know, it's not on the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Apparently, it's called Winnie the Pooh and a Day for Eeyore, and it was released in front of The Sword in the Stone, and
Oh,
then repackaged later on. Um, yeah, it has since been included as a bonus feature for many on the VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray release of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
oh, so that's why it's not on there. It's a bonus episode or bonus feature. Okay, well, I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to watch that now.
because I remember that.
Yeah, it's great. Like that was my favorite part of the VHS. Like I think that was my favorite one. My favorite episode of the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is Donkey for a Day, where Eeyore does sky painting.
Aw,
Which that's a great episode. I watch it probably like once a month. Like I just need a little pick me up. But we're on a
Yeah.
big tangent here. So Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and Robin Hood and the Great Mouse Detective for each of us from the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Let's move into the Renaissance.
Ooh, this one might be controversial because it's a hard pick. Like literally everything that came out of this era is good. There's maybe
Yeah,
one on there that I'm like, I don't like it, kind of sucks, but everything from this era was just gold.
yeah. I think for me, the one as a grown adult who has now learned things, I think Pocahontas is probably the one that I'm like, I don't need to watch that anymore, but
That
I'll still go to
yeah,
the music. But like if you're asking me like which Disney movie from this era you're like is your least favorite, for me honestly it's The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
really.
Yeah,
that
I
great
don't
villain
like
song.
Quasimodo's voice. I don't like
Ah,
that heavy vibrato. I can't I don't like it.
well, if you
Um
yeah, and with this
and the
era,
gargoyles.
oh yeah, no, the gargoyles did not age well at
But we're talking favorites here.
all.
So
Yeah.
oh
So to
god.
list them,
Yes, to list them first, we have The Little Mermaid, The Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Mulan, and Tarzan to end the Renaissance era, which ran from 1989 to 1999. For me, I'm going to say my favorite is Beauty and the Beast. We just celebrated the 30th
yes,
anniversary, and there is an amazing special that's on Disney Plus where they kind of do a big reenactment of the big musical numbers. It's really good. The guy that got to do Gaston knew the assignment and nailed it. Like that's a big man swoon for me. Like the minute he comes out and he hits that Gaston, like I know LeFou, he hits it and I'm like, oh, swoon. But Shania Twain singing and doing an interpretation of Beauty and the Beast, that one too, just like, it hit a core memory because that's the last movie I remember like my entire family going to see in theaters.
Mm.
Both my sisters, my mom, my dad, and me, we all went to the theaters to see this movie. They didn't just drop us off and they went to go see a different movie. Everyone had a connection to this movie in my
Yeah,
family, and it was
yeah.
just
Oh,
fantastic.
that's awesome.
And I think that that's a big reason why I think Beauty and the Beast is my favorite. You can't go wrong with 80 5% of these movies.
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Hercules, I think, has its moments, but it's probably more middling. Mulan, I think, is really good, and Tarzan is right there as well. Like any of them, really. Just So whoever wants to go next, I'm rambling at this point.
Go, Beppo.
Oh gosh. Okay. Oh god. Okay. This is so hard because I know I inevitably have to pick, but it's a 3-way tie for me between Hercules, Aladdin, and The Rescuers Down Under. And I know I'll pick one. I know. I'll narrow it down, but literally all of these movies, except for Pocahontas and Hunchback of Notre Dame, I did not see those two as a kid. All of these movies on this list I watched on repeat countless times.
Yeah, we're hitting our nostalgia area here.
Yeah.
Like, this is prime. Like, we're all somewhere between like 6 and 5 or 6 and 3, somewhere in there. And
Yeah.
like
Yep.
home video is becoming a bigger thing.
Yep,
VHSs are becoming more affordable.
You can sit still and actually watch a movie without your parents threatening to kill you.
Rental stores are a thing now, so like you can rent VHS and
Yeah.
bring them back and watch them however many times you want.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
2 of my favorite not princesses are from this era. One being Jane from Tarzan. I fucking love her. I love her so much. And oh my god, Megara from Hercules.
Yeah.
If I absolutely have to pick one, I'll have to pick my second favorite Disney princess. This is the my number one movie growing up as a kid, Aladdin. I rewatched Aladdin last year. This year in the future after we record this podcast. And it just it immediately still held up so well. I also watched Rescuers Down Under again, and oh god, that's such a good movie. It's such a good movie that takes its time with stuff. And I forgot John Candy was in it, and it was so fun. But Aladdin, I have to give it to Robin Williams. Jasmine's beautiful, and fuck anybody who says that she's like a weak character. She isn't. She's like the only person who stands up for herself in that whole movie. She refuses to marry people, and when she eventually does, it's her choice because she fell in love. And if you watch the animated series, they don't get married right away. So, like another Disney princess, but we'll be on that later. No.
And no matter what gender you are,
Abu awoke something in you.
Jasmine in that slinky red outfit trying to seduce Jafar.
Man.
As a child, you're just like,
why do I feel funny?
This is new. This is new. Mommy, can I please have a poster of
Mommy,
that?
sorry. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry.
I think that's also the last time they really mention a princess's age for a while, because I think Jasmine's 16.
No, she was like 14 or 15. Like, she's one of the younger ones.
She's gonna be 16 though, because she has to be married by her 16th birthday.
Yeah. So she's
and then Disney's like, hey, maybe we should poo-poo that, because there are some states that say the legal age is 18.
Right. AKA most, but I understand.
Yeah, and Ariel, like, as a parent,
that's
now,
right. Ariel's
I'm
like
16. I'm not
something.
a child.
Yeah. Oh,
she's 16.
One of them's 14.
Yeah, like,
who the hell is 14? I know one Disney princess.
I know Moana's 14.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. Oh my god.
I think Aurora was also 16.
Yeah.
Probably.
Josh, I agree with you though. I rewatched Little Mermaid again. Like, I just went through a binge this past year. Cough, cough. Every time I hear Ariel go, "But I'm not a child anymore. I am my own adult. I am 16 years old." I'm just like, you know nothing. You know nothing, little girl.
You still have a whole life to live.
Right.
It's like, this is why Hans Christian Andersen had you die at the end of this movie. But anyway, moving on.
Uh-oh, salty.
Well, I mean, she did turn into Seafoam at the end of the story, so...
Yeah. And then she serves 1,000 years of penance in heaven.
God. Oh. Imagine if Disney animated that into the movie. What a different company we would have.
The Little Mermaid, What Dreams May Come edition. I'm going to side with Josh. It is Beauty and the Beast. because just the beginning with the little storybook tale where you realize the prince is 16 and therefore a dick, and apparently he has to decide before he turns 21, I think.
God.
Something weird like
Yeah.
that. Be our guest, Mrs. Potts. I mean, there's little things you pick up like when you're an adult, like Lumiere hitting on the
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 feather
feather
duster.
duster,
Yeah.
and it turns out she's a French maid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many questions like, why is all the cutlery and silverware people? Like, they all have their jobs, right? Like Hogsworth is keeping the time. He's like this person. The feather duster is a French maid. She's like
Alex,
the
I'm
head of
sorry.
the.
That's the second time you've said it. The film is set in France. She's just a maid.
Oh, that's right. My apologies. Like, how many servants did they have that needed to be plates?
Right. Right.
Well, don't forget there's an entire cupboard full of apparently Mrs. Potts' children.
Oh God, that's so creepy.
Yeah, she had Jessica Fletcher was busy. But like I will never. I mean, it has the great villain song of when they're storming the castle. The beauty of the moment where he takes away the mirror from her and he flashes it to the crowd as the beast is roaring, not in pain and not in anger.
Yeah.
That it's just the twist manipulation of that. The kill the beast song, and there's something about the ending where the beast has just given up, where he's learned to be a person. He's watching the rose. There's one left. It's starting to dangle. He doesn't even want to defend himself. He's letting Gaston kill him because he's learned his lesson now at the ripe old age of like 21.
Yeah. Well, he's lived such a
'Cause
miserable
he-
existence. And
I know.
he thinks
I
that
mean,
that's his repentance. He's like, I'm done.
being a teenager is rough. We all know that.
Yeah.
I mean, going through puberty at 11, becoming a beast, but it's I have never seen quite like a moment like that. And it's really movies hardly, I mean, they ape on it, of course, the hero kind of giving up and then they see his love off in the distance or her love or whatever. And they get that final thing, just, start fighting. But to see it in animation with the sounds of like an animal being wounded
Yeah.
as he's just getting as he's being beaten. And then, of course, we have the trope of the villain kind of kills himself.
Falling
Right.
to their death. They're like, my hubris.
Yeah. But I love this movie, and a few years back they released it in 3D, and it looks so gorgeous. There's only like one moment that totally breaks it. It's when Bella runs out and she's like doing the Sound of Music moment. It looks terrible in 3D because it looks like they took a two-dimensional character and flick it like a paper figure and just spun it.
Aw.
But the rest of the movie, the way they removed the cell, each layer of cells and just placed it for the depth, it's
Yeah.
it really gets me because it tells a love story that is not, it matters what's inside of you, and it's okay to let people go.
So I have two additional thoughts on this before we move on. One, Gaston gets two villain songs and they both rock.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
And-
every last inch of me's covered with hair. Same, fam. Yes. And the best part in the entire opening is when he's going on about how much he wants to woo and marry Belle.
Yes. So the other thing is the very end of the movie when the beast is transformed after Belle says, I love you. Belle is like so dense in that moment. It drives me insane as an adult. She literally sees like the magic beams coming off of him and him transforming. And he's like, Belle, it's me. And she's just looking at him like, who the fuck are you?
Maybe she's just so shell-shocked.
She looks into his eyes and she's like, oh, those eyes. I could never forget those eyes, even though I've seen those eyes on a picture of you.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy in that moment.
What a rugged 11-year-old.
FBI, open up.
They matured faster back then.
Yeah. God damn.
So to bring back things awakening in all
Oh
of
my
us,
Oh no.
I have talked to many a lady,
Oh God, yeah.
and they have always been disappointed in whoever they cast as the human form of the beast, and this includes in the movies, because Like my wife, she's just like, "Ah, he's so unattractive as a human."
No, for real. He's weird looking as a human. Like
Yes.
super weird looking. So, not that I was attracted to Beast, but in comparison to Human Beast,
Yeah.
oh, he's weird looking.
They made him way too weirdly proportioned. Like his back is huge. He's got like almost like a hunch, and he's still massive. So he's like leaning over too far to Belle. Like is Belle 4'10" and he's like
I
6'1"? Like
mean,
he's
possibly.
it's
Yeah.
crazy the dispersion the size discrepancy and everything. But yeah,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. It is really weird, and like they try to keep like certain proportions to the beast to like, well, yeah, he was like the beast was huge because look at how muscular and handsome he is. But they like go way too overboard into the handsomeness to the point where it's like, uh, you went to the other side of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it never quite works.
Agreed.
Post-Renaissance era. Go, Josh. Tell us about this.
There's so many things in Disney animation where something is just ahead of its time that it can't Disney just can't figure out what it is. Like that happened with Beauty and the Beast, or not Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty. We're not talking about a Goofy movie, and I think that also happens with Tarzan as well as Atlantis and Treasure Planet, which in the post Renaissance era from 1999 to 2009, we have Fantasia 2000, Dinosaur, The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis: The Lost Empire, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, Home on the Range, Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, and Bolt.
May I?
You may.
Emperor's New Groove, there's no other answer, and if it is, you're wrong. Okay, I'm done. I said what I need to say.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
be contrarian and
Oh,
say,
I'm editing out this part of the episode.
who says you get to edit the episode? We
Damn
still
it.
haven't gone over your tutorial. I'm gonna go with Lilo and Stitch. I can't knock the Elvis soundtrack along with just like it's just super fun and cute. Like it nails
I
everything
could
with
never get
what
into
they're
that
going for.
movie. I could never get into that movie.
And like Nani, especially the Lilo's older sister, like there's memes going around. She's an 18-year-old kid who's trying to be a mother to her sister and trying to pull a full-time job while her sister is also a little hellion who decides to adopt a little hellion alien thinking it's a dog. Like there's just so much in that movie that I think is really solid. But like, yeah, the Emperor's New Groove, I think is
The correct answer. You're right, Josh. It is.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think
Uh,
it is it is a definitive Disney classic. I think Atlantis is one of those as well, but I think it falls into the same pit that Treasure Planet does, where they try to get a little too Disney at certain points. Like Atlantis has too many characters. That's the biggest flaw of that movie. And so many of those characters are just too over the top. The dirt mole man, like the guy who likes to dig and everything. Like that guy's just too over the top. You've got plenty of other people in there. Oh, what the heck is the big dude's name?
Tiberius Rourke, is that who you mean? The commander?
No,
Or
Dr.
do you
Sweet.
mean
Dr.
oh,
Sweet.
Dr. Sweets? Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Sweets, I think, is probably one of the best minority representations Disney has in their movies at this point, if we're not counting something like Aladdin, where a lot of those characters are very white passing. I think Dr. Sweet is probably one of the first really good positive representations of a minority character.
mhm.
So that's what I got to say about the post-Renaissance era. Like everything else, I think you could really kind of chuck in the bin. You can keep The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, Lilo and Stitch, and Treasure Planet, and Meet the Robinsons. I think everything else, especially Home on the Range, can go in the bin. Home on the Range can like get the ET treatment. Just gather every copy of every copy made and just bury it in a pit and forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay, Fantasia 2000 is beautiful and lovely and has some of the best animation they've ever done. But they didn't know what to do with it. It was Roy E. Disney's like $120 million passion project to like kind of like do something for his father and his uncle, and it didn't quite work out, but I still love it. Dinosaur, I have no freaking clue what the hell they try to do with that. And it's obvious that apparently Disney/Pixar doesn't know what to do with dinosaurs because whatever the heck that dinosaur movie Pixar released like 5 years ago was complete garbage as well. Emperor's New Groove is lovely and beautiful and perfect, and how dare anyone ever say anything bad about it because it is lovely.
I almost on a daily basis, no exaggeration, still say, I'll put it in a box, and then I'll put that box inside of another box, and I'll mail it to myself. And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer. No, I make spinach puffs, and every time I do, I have to pretend I'm Kronk. My friend and I, this current year in 2022, have rewatched the movie together at least
Oh
3
yeah.
times, and every time we're still in stitches to the point where we're wheezing like old men, and it's just
Mhm.
it still just holds up, and it's just so funny and charming. And I'm not a huge David Spade fan, but like he will forever be Cusco and just the best. He'll always be the
Yeah.
best. He's the best
Oh
Disney
yeah.
prince.
I will say one of the dumbest but best bits, like just transcends everything. Like it's a comedy bit that every culture can understand. Is when Kronk is like a squeak 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 squeaking
Squeak
squeak.
squeaker. Squeak squeaking. Hey, hey, Cusco. Poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison.
Cusco's poison. That poison.
Yes,
Yes.
that's poison.
I every once in a while just randomly will shout, "Yay, I'm a llama
Yeah, I'm
again!"
a llama again. Wait.
Yeah. I and that movie has I just love at the end when they're racing back to
Yes,
the
yes.
castle, and you're seeing on the map they're leaving trail lines of where they're
Yeah.
going. And then they even see them. They look down like,
I
"Why are we leaving
know. I
trail
love
lines?"
that so much.
And they get back and they're like, "How did you beat us?" And he pulls out the map. He's like, "I don't know. It doesn't quite make sense."
Logically, it doesn't make sense.
It does for being cobbled together at the last minute from like an old script from like by tossing a script out, and apparently every song Sting had ever written for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. None of the music stayed except for the opening, and even the opening was
Yeah.
supposed to be a whole lot longer. My friend Erica was actually telling me a lot of the behind the scenes history of it because this is like that's like her favorite movie easily, and Peter Pan, but that's for another day.
But it just works and it's so funny and it just bombed and it's so
I
sad.
know.
But the sequel movie was okay. The TV series was kind of
I
fun.
never got to see any of the extra stuff. I'm kind of curious if I should.
Oh yeah, watch it because Kronk's voice comes back for all of it,
Yay, Patrick
and
Wahlberg.
it's just charming. And I believe Eartha Kitt does this too for a
Patrick
while.
Aw.
Warburton.
I thought it
Warburton,
was
yeah.
okay. Yeah, him.
Atlantis: The Lost Empire has a special place in my heart because my spouse and I, when we first got together, she likes to have something on the background when she goes to sleep, and we somehow wore out a DVD
Aw.
by having the Atlantis: Lost Empire just on repeat. It just would play, and it just like once they get sailing, that was apparently my body trigger to just pass out.
There you go. You had like a Pavlov's
Yeah,
dog, but Pavlov's sleepy
yeah,
time. Aw.
exactly. And that's where I get the whole like carrots. Why is it always carrots? Because that Michael J. Fox moment is just so true. Because it's like, yeah, when I'm sick, why is it always yeah? But I will say there is one thing in that movie that pisses me off so much. It's when he is an expert on the Atlantean language and studies and understands everything, and he can read it.
Uh-huh.
And then she says her name, Kikagadesh or whatever her name is, and he can't repeat it. I'm like,
You
and she's like, you can just call me Kita. I'm like, that is for the audience. That is against the character, and how dare
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
That breaks it. And then when he teaches her how to fly the damn Atlantean ships, he's like, okay, did you put the crystal in? Yes, I knew you put the crystal in. Did you give it a quarter turn? Yes, I knew gave it a quarter turn. Did you turn the other way? No. Oh, I'm like, really? You're literally 1,500 years old.
Right.
You never once thought to like plug it in and just fiddle back and forth a little
Right,
bit.
right.
That other than that, and Lilo and Stitch, yes, is adorable, but Treasure Planet's horrible, Brother Bear's horrible, Home on the Range is horrible, Chicken Little's terrible, Meet the Robinsons it's terrible, and I want to meet whoever it is at Disney that John Travolta had the dirt on to give him the lead in Bolt because I want to find that person and I want that dirt because I want to make a movie.
Bolt had a lot of potential, but John Travolta being a puppy makes no goddamn sense.
I need to know if that person's still there. Are they a VP of something? What is the
Yeah.
dirt? I don't need $100 million. Just give me like 40. We can make a movie with it.
God.
Anyway,
Agreed. For the most part.
Meet the Robinsons is adorable because I still every once in a while quote to myself the whole like, why can't you get them? I'm a big head and little arms.
Yeah.
Only thing I remember about that damn
Aw.
movie.
There are some great quotable moments from the post Renaissance era as far as like the good movies. But yeah, like Big Head, Little Arms. That's one that I say fairly often, especially with the baby, because for anyone who doesn't know about babies, they have short little arms.
Yeah, and big
And
heads.
they can't bring their and so like they can't bring their hands over their heads. So every now and then I'll just like raise my arms at the baby and be like, "Hey, look what I can do!" And she'll try to bring them up, and they just stop like at the top of her temples.
Aw.
I got a big head, little arms.
Picking on your baby.
Yeah, that's what they can't talk back yet. It's
Yeah.
the best time.
Best part of being a parent.
My boss has a shirt and it has a T-Rex on it with like the little extender claws that like like you see people get to pick stuff up off the
So it's like
ground.
unstoppable on it.
It says, "Now I am invincible."
Yay! Oh, that's great.
But speaking of people at Disney getting a raw deal or getting weird things over, like one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about Sleeping Beauty, I don't know if you have seen the character actors and the wig they have to wear for the guys that play Prince Philip, but
Oh
they give
no.
him the Bieber do when he's just got like a nice little pompadour. Who the hell thought that was a good idea?
I'm Googling that and it looks terrible.
Yeah, Prince Philip is probably one of the best Disney princes, and yet they give him like the shittiest hairdo. I don't get it. So moving into the revival era from 2009, which I'm cutting off at 2018 because there's a very important executive change at this point. We have The Princess and the Frog, which is the last 2D animated feature from Disney currently. We have Tangled, Winnie the Pooh, Frank and Weenie, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Big Hero 6, Zootopia, Moana, and Ralph Breaks the Internet, which up until Ralph Breaks the Internet, that is hit after hit after hit after hit after hit, in my opinion. Like that is just a stretch that rivals the Renaissance, the Disney Renaissance, excuse me. Maybe Frank and Weenie is an exception. Like that's the exception that proves the rule, maybe,
Yeah.
as well as Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah.
So like this one is a real tough pick one because like for me this era especially is like how am I feeling today is my favorite movie. Some days it's Tangled, some days it's Big Hero 6, some days it's Moana. If you said you have to pick a final answer on this, for me it would probably be Tangled, but that doesn't take away from Moana, Big Hero 6, the first Wreck-It Ralph, Winnie the Pooh again, like that one is great. It's really short, like it just barely hits the feature film limit, which I think it has to be like 60 minutes, and I think it's like 62 minutes to be considered a feature length.
This is the easiest choice ever. My favorite Disney princess, my favorite Disney movie is Tangled. Absolutely. I love it. Everything about it. I love the characters, I love the music, I love the lessons. I love how it addresses things like mental and emotional abuse in a really subtle way, but like if you've experienced that or you know how to recognize those, you see it. And the animated series actually expanded upon Rapunzel's childhood PTSD and stuff, essentially being locked away and finding out that your mother was never actually your mother and was a sociopathic kidnapper, essentially. I don't have a bad thing to say about Tangled. I love it dearly, and I always will.
It plays a really good balance because like it jumps over into like some Looney Tunes style humor with Maximus and Flynn's rivalry, but it also has a whole lot of heart,
Yeah.
which you can say whatever the hell you want about like plot holes with like why does Mother Gothel give her name and why does Mother Gothel let her know her birthday. She doesn't care. She doesn't think Rapunzel's ever leaving, so she probably just is lazy and doesn't care about thinking of anything new for her.
Right, right.
There are very few instances where. Oh, sorry, Tangled. Yeah, I agree. Tangled's the best. There are very few instances where a movie is meant to be in 3D. And this is the post Avatar world, which we're not living in again right now in 2023, 2022, but where 3D is where everything is 3D, and they're trying to just milk that extra $450 for you to pay for the glasses that you actually end up returning back, so it's a money making scheme. But this movie, there is a moment with the lanterns on the lake
Oh yeah.
where somebody, I don't know if like somebody ran into James Cameron and said, "Hey, how would you do this?" and he did it himself or something. But the lanterns on the lake, the way it came out in IMAX over the audience where they're just floating, and I remember my wife reaching out
Yes.
because it was so well done and so beautiful, the music, and it looked like the lanterns were actually starting to fall into the
Yeah.
audience. And that scene gets me because it's right before everything turns. And it wasn't until maybe the second or third time that I was watching Tangled did I realize that when Mother Gothel is talking about how much she loves Rapunzel, she's never looking at Rapunzel, she's looking at Rapunzel's
Everything
hair.
she touches is just her hair. Everything. And that's what I love is Eugene is the first person to not only there's a motif of Mother Gothel constantly grabbing the hair and bringing it in front of Rapunzel's face or her body. Eugene brushes the hair from her face a lot, and he doesn't care about that. He cares about her, and it's a really beautiful motif, and I love it. Yeah. I adore this movie so much.
So I need to apologize to you guys. I did forget one movie in this era that
How dare you?
and that is The Lion King.
Oh, fuck
Oh
off.
yeah.
Fuck
It's okay.
off.
It doesn't actually count anyway because it wasn't made by Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Oh my god. Fuck off with your nonsense.
There's only one thing that I have wondered about, and because I am a slightly sadistic. So her hair gets cut
Yes.
off, and she can now heal by crying because she brings him basically back to life because he's basically dead.
Yeah, go ahead and ask your question because
Oh no, he's literally
I'll
dead.
have an answer.
Does she cure? Does she cure everything through her tears? Do we need to like make her feel sad daily to like fix all
Right.
diseases? That is something I wonder because she can basically stop time with her hair, reheal injuries, de-age Mother Gothel, all this stuff. But now it's her tears.
So the tear was the last remnants of her magic. That's what made it so special, was that was all that was left. So the single tear was all that was left of her healing magic. She actually never technically regains the healing magic. In the show, she does regain some magic, but it's a different type of magic. But yes, no, the tear at the end of the movie is the literal last drop of the Sundrop flower. So
Okay, so that explains why she did not bring Anna and Elsa's parents back to life.
yes,
Got
yes,
it.
exactly.
Also, they were drowned in the bottom of a sea.
Well, no, we don't know that. I mean, and Ariel was visiting their ship all the time
Yeah,
anyway.
yep. It's all connected.
Tarzan is distantly related to the Beast and Belle.
Yeah.
I know.
Ah, yes.
And let's not forget Cars is a post-apocalyptic future in which the cars overtook us and killed us and now took over our
Oh
world.
god.
Thank God we didn't have to talk about planes.
Oh,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
god damn.
Okay, so I cut this movie, or I cut this era off, the revival era, at 2018 with Wreck-It Ralph 2. That's because John Lasseter, that was the last movie he was involved in.
Yes.
Before he got booted for being a horrible human being and a predator.
Allegedly.
Our legal team says allegedly, so we don't get our asses sued by Disney or John Lasseter.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Fair point. I need to get an interface with a sound clip, and I can just have a sound clip of Alex saying allegedly.
Yes. Pretty much, yes.
Moving into the post-Lasseter era, we have 4 movies as we speak. We have Frozen 2, Raya and the Last Dragon, Encanto, and Strange World. It has to be Encanto for all 3 of us. Like, everything else is very middling, if not just not very good. Like Raya and the Last Dragon, visually amazing. Like, visually it looks great. story-wise, it has like one of the worst messages in a Disney movie ever,
Yeah.
outside of like Home on the Range.
Hands down for me, Raya and the Last Dragon was one of the biggest disappointments that I've experienced from just a movie in general. Not just like, oh, a Disney movie that disappointed. No, like a legitimate movie that completely disappointed me. I could go on all day about reasons why I hated that movie. As far as you kind of saying Encanto has to be our favorite, I have to agree. Even Encanto wasn't one of my favorites. There were aspects about it that I didn't care for. I honestly, I'm not a big fan of the music. I don't really like Lin-Manuel Miranda. I do not like a lot of the songs from it, but the
Beppo,
yes.
you're my soulmate.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. I don't like him either. Once I realized that every song he writes is the exact same
Pretty much,
song,
yeah.
I can't unhear it. That's the part that bothers me about Moana is that "You're welcome" is just "You're gonna miss me."
But
Yeah.
how far I'll go and We Know the Way are fantastic.
Yeah, but I don't think he was really involved with those. I'm pretty sure those are he just added his name to them when they were like when they were printing the CDs.
Either that or he was just there to oversee actual artists doing the
Hmm.
music. No, I absolutely hate. I want to like the music, but I do not like Under the Surface. I want to because I like the what the song is about, but I hate it with a passion. I absolutely
I
hate
like
it.
the chorus, but everything else around it I don't like.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the strong one,
I'm not
I'm not
nervous.
nervous.
Yeah.
Like it's the and like maybe that's how he designed the song. But like I talked about this with Lewis in our Encanto review, which is in the future of when we release these
Yeah.
episodes. But yeah, like the chorus is great and pressure like a drip, drip, drip that'll never stop. Like that's great.
Hmm.
But like everything else around that is just the tempo is just off and it does not resonate with me.
Yeah.
The story of Encanto, at least, I think really works. And then the Dos Oruguitos, I think is the name of the song. I always get it wrong, which again in the future you will hear me admit to it and Lewis will Oruguitas. Dos Oruguitas. That's the name of it. That song, like that'll get the tear ducts
Yeah.
working. Like it gets dusty when that song comes on.
Yeah. It's beautiful, it really is. But yeah, no, I wasn't a fan of really any of the songs. And yes, there's a couple that will get stuck in your head. They're very great earworms, but they're not exactly stuck in my head for a positive reason. They're mostly just there because I think they're kind of annoying and I feel bad. But as far as the content of the movie and kind of what it covers as far as like family trauma and things like that, I know this isn't a Disney movie, but it was the same kind of feeling that I connected with Turning Red. Yeah, but I know that's not Disney, that was Pixar technically. But
And I believe that's a review we'll be doing in the
in the
future as
future as
well.
well. Yes, exactly. You'll know
I think
my
it's
feelings when I
Josh,
see it.
Beppo, and Becky.
Yes. AKA Becky and Beppo just going on about how much we love the movie and related to it. Because Josh like, "Me no know what girl puberty is." You guys have fun. I'll sit over here and do my own thing. Bye.
In the future, there will also be a really great episode of Baymax about a girl having her period for the first time, which I strongly recommend everyone watch.
Especially if you're a parent with a daughter or something like that, because it'll help. Yeah, no, I loved the message of it. My favorite aspect of it was realizing that what's her name? The main character.
Mirabelle.
Mirabelle. She was chastised because she didn't have a power, but it obviously the movie kind of ends with showing that her power is being the next head of the family. She doesn't have one superpower. She has the power of love and compassion and the ability to be strong and lead a family again. And it was what, the fourth generation or third generation? So it kind of almost hints that maybe every 3 or 4 generations, a new head will be born. So for me, I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. So when her grandchild or great grandchild is born and has no powers, instead of them chastising and treating them like they are different, she's going to raise that child in order to be the Professor X of the home.
Oh no, that's a fate worse than
Yeah.
death.
But yes, I love the movie. I love the visuals. I love the message, and I love how it has this message. And of course, it's Disney, so it's almost always going to be like things are peachy keen after everything. But there is kind of a lasting thing where things aren't going to be perfect with this family. Not everything is just peachy keen a okay at the end of it, but they're going to learn and they're going to get there. That's my rant. Fuck Ryan the Last Dragon.
Do you agree, Encanto, of these four post John Lasseter is the best one of the four that we've had so far?
Yeah, since I haven't had a chance to watch Strange World since it doesn't come out until November, I'm gonna have to go with Encanto.
Fair.
Which it's amazing that you've heard about Strange World because there hasn't been anything really announced about it.
No, I don't think the trailer drops until like summer.
I think it's like 2 days before the movie comes out. I think.
Frozen 2 was just a weird mixed bag of disappointment that I walked out like actively hating that movie. I remember our review on it, I was just ranting about how it seemed unfinished. And it seemed like they decided to like rip off the best parts of the MCU and to go with it.
Great songs in Frozen 2. I think Frozen 2 has better songs than Frozen 1, but the story is just so everywhere and it doesn't work.
Raya and the Last Dragon, I had hopes for, but it didn't hit me in any kind of meaningful way.
Mhm.
I mean, I like Encanto. I mean, the pressure song is fun the first like 16 times you hear it, but then it's the drip 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 part that's good. Everything else is just and the visuals are the strongest part of this movie about how, and I really do like all the Easter eggs of like the sister who can hear everything actually does hear and know Bruno's
Yeah.
there. She's just hiding it, and as you watch the movie, like rewatch it, you can see when she picks up on it and they hide him, kind of like Mickey in the various parts of the film. The sucker punch of just how that family came to be,
Oh god,
about where
yeah.
in the forest of getting the flashback of the family and the father and her husband and the children in the that
Yeah.
just oh
No, that was a super crazy, emotional, like really well done.
yeah, I think the story is a lot better than the music, which really kind of annoys me that the music is like what people were talking about and how awesome it is. And I really do love that the strong sister, apparently the directors fought with Disney overlords about letting her actually be tall
Buff,
and letting her
yeah.
and buff, instead of like, okay, no, she needs to be like 4'11" and she needs to be just a waif, but she's super strong. And they're like, no, we're gonna give her kind of like a working farm girl's body, and there ain't nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and I mean, and there are weird things about the movie. Like, I can never quite understand, while Maribel is supposedly like 15 or 16, why they keep having her sleep in like the infant's room.
Because she never got the
Which
magic room.
I know, but it always bothers me because I'm like, is she still sleeping like on like a twin size cot,
I
like a
mean,
little thing?
think about it though. She's kind of abused. Well, she's kind of abused by the family. They don't
Yeah,
respect her because she doesn't have powers, so they still treat her like a child because to them, she's nothing more than an oversized baby. She hasn't matured like everyone else, but their idea of mature is getting powers. You don't realize that no, mature means that I mean, she's the most mature person in that entire family as far as actual maturity goes. So it's almost like a just a huge kick in the ass and kick in the neds that she still has to be in the baby room basically.
that's the part that always just kind of like threw me off. Was I'm like, every time I see it, that part just seems so just alien that she would not have at least a full size bed somewhere.
Yeah.
But I get what they're telling. It's just that part has always bothered me just a little bit because it seems like so casually evil, like even from like her
It's
parents
passive
to like.
aggressive is what it is.
But I really just do love it, and I love all the little moments that get hidden within there, and that yeah, her magic is that she actually knows how to be a good person, basically,
Yeah, no, that's pretty much
and
it.
that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're gonna do a quick time jump here because I gave you guys homework. We're recording this now on January 15th at almost 10 p.m. I gave you homework to watch Strange World as it has dropped on Disney Plus. Did you guys get a chance to get around to it?
I didn't like it.
I did not get a chance to, so I will listen to your guys' opinions.
Okay, I'm gonna go first so Alex can do a rant. I thought it was fine. The movie clearly got buried because they were scared of the right-wing nuts going like, "Oh, they're forcing woke culture on us," which woke is the dumbest insult ever because it makes no sense.
Yeah.
You're awake where I'm admitting to being asleep and not having my eyes open to things. Like, okay, good for you.
Yeah.
But basically, I'm not going to spoil Strange World because I do recommend people watch it. I think there is some good stuff in there, but it's Moana meets Journey to the Center of the Earth, and the parents come along for the ride. That's basically it. Alex, go ahead with your rant.
Well, if we're not going to spoil it, then I can't really rant. But my issue with this movie is twofold. One, the big reveal twist that happens like 3/4 of the way through the movie should have been part of the damn movie to begin with. That should have been just a known factor, because that makes the strange world way more interesting. And you can kind of see it being telegraphed if you know anything about.
Anatomy. Yeah, it that kind of spoils it, but there's
Yeah,
really obvious signs once you know what the movie's trying to tell you.
it makes the characters seem stupid that they didn't realize this like long ago, and that part bothers me. And I'm sorry, but Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid were so wrongly cast. Like I don't like those voices. I didn't dig it. Having them along for me just brought me out of it so much that I'm like, oh yeah, that's Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh yeah, Dennis Quaid. I wonder if he's gonna return to like Twister too.
That's
Uh,
that's actually a really good conversation that Ricky and I have been having because our kids have been watching Spirit Untamed on Blu-ray a lot lately, and it's got the same problem that I have with like the My Little Pony movie, where it's got this all-star cast of like Jake Gyllenhaal, Julianne Moore, Andre Brower. Like there's celebrities that you know, and in an animated movie, like you hear Jake Gyllenhaal, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's Jake Gyllenhaal, but like there's nothing really unique about Julianne Moore's voice that you're like, that's Julianne Moore. I need to see that movie because of her.
right.
And it's kind of the same thing with this movie, where again, Jake Gyllenhaal's just being Jake Gyllenhaal. Dennis Quaid's trying to do something where he's doing a little
Kind
bit of a
of.
gravelly voice. But I texted this to you like the day after I watched the movie because like there was something about the names that drove me nuts. Which part of it is just the names are dumb. It's Clade Yeager and Searcher Yeager, which okay, fine. This whoever wrote this movie has like an affinity for 70s and 80s sci-fi serials, but like
Mhm.
okay, whatever. But Clade Yeager was driving me nuts. Or was it Yeager Clade? It was Clade. Clade was the last name. So it was Yeager Clade and
Yeah.
Searcher Clade. Yeager Clade was driving me nuts, and I could not figure out why until on YouTube, Mr. Sunday Movies uploaded his quintrilogy of Transformers movies, in which in Transformers 4 and 5, Mark Wahlberg plays a character called Cade Yeager. And it's like, oh my god, that's why I hate this name. It's reminding me of these movies.
Oh my god.
See, the part that bothered me about that is every time I heard the word Jaeger, I kept hearing this Pacific Rim music in my
Yeah,
head,
yep.
and I kept hoping for
They
a
spell it
battle.
the same way as the Jaegers from Pacific Rim as well.
Yeah, I was hoping for that. I was like, yeah, like let's get some Pacific Rim stuff going on, which actually kind of makes sense with the twist of the movie.
Oh my god.
It's true.
The movie's fine. The music's okay. It's just
It's very much just fine, middle of the road. Like they clearly they had the gay son, which everyone in the movie is fine with. There's never an issue of
no, there's no problem with that.
I was half expecting Jaeger Clade to say something when they started talking about how they're interested in this guy and he's cute and there's something, but maybe. And I expected like something really quick and then he just moves on from it. But they just don't even acknowledge like the fact that in our world there would be like a moment of hesitation from almost anyone.
But I like that though because it's showing that there's nothing it's showing normalcy to it.
Yes.
And
Yes. And
that's
Yeah,
that
to
was
me for LGBTQ representation, being treated like a normal person as opposed to an anomaly is what feels good. And that's what we
yes.
should be striving for. So I
yes.
enjoy that. I'm really glad that's how they treated it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I was pleasantly surprised because
Yeah.
the most of the movie is just Jaeger Clade and Searcher Clade having this like back and forth about like, oh, I'm the old generation, you're the new generation, and whatever. And now we have got a third generation, and it's a lot of that. So I thought like, oh, he's the old school guy, where Jake Gyllenhaal's character is the new school guy. So he's like cool with it, but maybe he'll be a little upset. No, it's just a normal thing in their world, and that's great because again, it's normalcy. You're just accepting it, and you're helping build that normalcy into our culture by doing that.
Yep.
It would just be nice if it was a better movie that was
Yes,
better cast. Like I don't get why whoever the writer or directors are were so insistent on this is going to be an amazing reveal at the beginning of the third act and blow everyone's minds, and we have to keep this buried and hidden from all the promotional stuff, and it weakens everything leading up to that, and that is a problem. There is a fundamental story error. The representation is not a problem because representation shouldn't be a problem.
exactly.
Speaking of which, a few days ago, I was really upset to learn, because now we're in the future talking about this movie, that they canceled Uncoupled on Netflix, the Neil Patrick Harris, basically Sex and the City movie, TV series. Because I loved that series. It was so well done. It was interesting. It told a viewpoint of the different generational stories. Neil Patrick Harris is playing a guy, I believe, who's like 47. So he came up in the 80s and 90s of the Discovery, and it was really meaningful to come out and what kind of world it is. And he's been with his husband for the last 10 years since it's been legal, but they were together much longer than that. Now they're going through a divorce, and he's starting to discover what it's like to date not only people that are your similar age, but then younger than you, of being a gay man in New York. And it was such a show that kind of bridged the different cultures within the LGBT community of, yeah, now that we've had this kind of legacy group that has experienced, hey, we fought, we won the right for being married, and this other group coming underneath it, it's like, yeah, this is all just normalcy and everything. We don't know why you guys are so annoyed about everything in life. Guys, get over it. It's very fascinating. And I was really hoping for a second or third season of that, because they built a great grouping of characters around that as he discovers what is life now for a middle-aged gay man.
Yeah.
And they freaking canceled it.
The last thing I'm going to talk about real quick about Strange World, but this is going to be a really long episode. I apologize to everyone. All right, well let's start wrapping this up because this edit might kill me.
Yeah. Rip.
Especially with the backwards edit part with Beppo's rant.
Yeah.
So you can follow me on Twitter at Josh_Scar. You can follow the podcast at Talking Smack Pod. Alex also posts on there. Usually it's news. Sometimes he'll post some editorialized stuff. And whenever I catch that, I'll parenthesis Alex post underneath, especially when it's something that I don't necessarily agree with, like a Tom Cruise thing. Beppo,
Allegedly.
Oh boy.
allegedly, no, it's fact. It's like there's nothing else that I said about Tom Cruise.
Allegedly.
I guess the edit could crop something out, but yeah. Beppo, please feel free to share your socials.
I am Beppo on everything. I don't post too much, so I apologize. But yeah.
No, currently you post a lot.
Yeah, all the time. That's all I do.
It's in the future you don't
Oh
post much.
yeah. Currently I post a ton. Just Beppo on Twitter. I'm a boring person. Thank you for tuning into my TED Talk today.
Please feel free to join our Discord, where we have a bunch of fun conversations talking about things from Star Trek to any other TV show. Like right now, there's a The Last of Us TV series conversation going on that I'm going to avoid because I don't have time to watch the series tonight. I'll probably watch it sometime tomorrow morning or sometime on January 16th in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally not missing The Last of Us right now to record this.
So, do you see those awesome avatars for those of you on our Apple podcasts? You see me, Beppo, Alex, Lewis, Scotty, Becky. All those wonderful avatars were created by Beppo.
Yeah.
Yay,
I drew
Beppo.
the thing.
She drew the
She
things.
did.
She
And then
drew
Rick-
it. She drew it. Oh my god. And I clapped when I saw it.
I didn't realize she had a Druish.
And our wonderful Ricky avatar was created by Retro Ale Studios. Please like, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. It helps us out so much if you can. if for those of you listening on Good Pods, those reviews help. But if you have another primary podcatcher, rating on that would be a big help. We don't have any current reviews, which we did get a few new ones on Good Pods, but this is running long, so I'm not going to read those. Please follow Bepbo, follow the podcast on Twitter. We're also on Post, Hive Social, and Facebook. And that will kind of do it. Alex, who did you get for our theme music this week?
Coolio is remixing our music this week.
Yay!
You couldn't get Alan Menken?
No, and Coolio's alive right now.
That's true. God.
Oh God, yeah, that's right. Coolio is totally 100% living.
Uh,
Hope nothing bad happens to him in the next.
the curse of future knowledge.
Oh God.
Thanks everyone for listening, and sorry for the bad news.
Future bad news.
Ooh. Ignore everything happening to Ukraine in about 5 minutes.
Oh God.
Yeah, that happened while I was at Disney
Oh God.
just a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Happiest place on
Yeah.
earth.
Yay, the Olympics.
All right, everyone, take care. And
Yes.
again, sorry for the length of this episode. I'm pretty sure this is still good. Even with a good edit, this is going to be like an hour 40 to an hour 45.
Oh boy, so sorry, Josh.
Oh, so sorry.
excited for Doctor Strange 2.
Oh God. Stop.
The
Can't believe the villain's
future.
going to be Nightmare.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
We haven't started the Star Trek bit yet either, I don't think, at this point.
No, we haven't.
Josh from the future, watch Star Trek. Fun story about the Jungle Book. My parents took me and my sisters to go see the Jungle Book while they went to go see Total Recall.
That's awesome.
The Jungle Book was re-released in
Oh.
theaters, and like one of my first core memories, as Alex put it, I remember I needed more popcorn, but I was like 4, maybe 4.5 at that point,
Uh-huh.
so I wasn't going to go to the concession stands by myself. My sisters didn't want to go with me,
Uh-oh.
so I went into the other theater to go find my parents, who were sitting in the very back row by the doors. And I walked in, and it's the moment in Total Recall where the guy like opens up his shirt and you see the person in his chest just going, Wade.
Yeah.
And like that scarred me. I cannot watch that movie ever.
Aww. Little baby
Because like
Josh.
that just triggers little tiny 4-year-old Josh like having an anxiety attack of like, what the hell am I looking at?
Aww.
You broke my smolder.